Hi, it's Marianne, and today I have a mixed media scrapbook layout. I used the Cocoa Daisy April 2014 kit. What's left of it, pretty much after this, I have killed the kit. And what inspired me to do this is that Cocoa Daisy just had their summer crop last weekend, and the challenges are still open. And one of the challenges was to create an art journaling page or a scrapbook page or something where you collage a house out of paper. So it couldn't just be a photo of your house. You had to make a house on your page or art journaling page or whatever it is that you created. So I decided to take out my supplies and make it almost like if I had had a canvas hanging around, I would have done it on canvas, but I just decided to bust out some stuff and make it on a scrapbook page. So the kit came with a piece of yellow cardstock that honestly was pretty bright, and I probably wouldn't use it as a background necessarily, so I decided to cover it with gesso, which you just saw me do. I just took a piece of a iTunes gift card, cut it in half, and just used that to dump out my gesso and spread it all over the cardstock. Now I dried it, and then I took a light blue gelato and kind of scribbled it on my background. I wasn't using enough force, so I guess it's been a long time since I used my gelato, so I was kind of being a little wishy-washy about it. And also, looking at the video now, I realized I needed to have a much bigger brush. That brush just wasn't really getting the job done, so it took me twice as long. So now I mixed another darker blue in there, so basically I'm just making blue for a sky because I have a pretty good idea of what I want to use. So I'd mix the two blues and use some water. So this cloud paper is an exclusive to Cocoa Daisy, and it came with the April kit. So my idea is I'm going to cut out all the clouds and then glue them down to my page. So I'm just picking some of the clouds I want, and I'm going to cut them out. I think I edited it out so you didn't have to watch me cut out everything. So I just, there were 4 different kinds. I think there was yellow, dark blue, green, and light blue. So there they are. And now I'm just going to layer them on the top of my page. Not really, I didn't, do a crazy good job on trimming them. I just kind of did it fast. They didn't have to be precise. That's the great thing about mixed media. You can just make a mess and it all comes together in the end. This is some of the little stuff that came in the kit. I didn't really use any of it, but I do want to use the glitter. So I'm going to leave the glitter out because I've decided that's going on the page at the end. And that Cocoa Daisy stamp I just took out is the stamp that came with the kit, and I'm going to use that. And these are just some of the scraps I had from the kit, so that's what I'm going to make my house out of. So I'm just looking through, kind of getting an idea of what I want. So I settled on that heart paper from Studio Calico, Lemon Lush. I think one of the videos I did recently, I kept saying that it was from a different company, but it's not. It's from Studio Calico. And I think I'm going to use that turquoise piece as my door, but I end up switching it out. I'm going to use this piece of paper here as my roof. So I just cut a strip of paper, and then I kind of measured it against the house so I know it's going to hang over, and then I just kind of bent it in half so I had an idea of where the peak would be. So that's it. My house is pretty well constructed now. I mean, it's pretty easy to construct a house. It's a triangle for the roof and a square for the body, and then you're pretty much good to go. So I think I'm going to use that turquoise, so I'm just cutting it down. That's going to be my door. And then I'm just going to use a little slip of white in the middle there. I'm thinking I'm going to write something in there, or maybe my house number. And then I saw this scrap of Amy Tangerine that had that nice house strip on the bottom. And so I'm going to glue that right on the bottom of my page. Perfect. And okay, so now I've decided that I know where I want my house to go, and now I would like to put some green on the bottom of my page, and I realize I do not have a green gelato. How did that happen? So I went to the basement where I keep all my art journaling stuff because I knew that I had this set from Faber-Castell. It's, the brush pen and all the watercolor pencils in green. I don't know how I don't have a green gelato. I'm going to have to put that on my shopping list. But this will definitely do. It's really the same thing. So they're watercolor pencils, and I just scribbled them on my page and then just wet them with the brush. And they act the same as a gelato, maybe a little bit thinner. I couldn't really tell much of a difference. So I just want them, I'm not really worried about the middle because I know the house is going to cover it. I just want some greenery down towards the bottom, almost like bushes. And now I'm just going to fill in because I know I want the sky to meet the bottom. And now I'm much more heavy-handed with the gelato because I realized that's what the problem was. Plus my small brush. So just swishing back and forth just so the whole page is filled up with some color. And it's just so much fun to break out your stuff and just get messy. That's really all this is. I'm not really even concerned with the final product. I mean, I know it will be cute in the end or creative anyway. So that's really all I care about. It's the process today for me. Just felt like doing something. So I'm using, I think it's by Ranger, multi-medium in matte. When I took the class with Tim Holtz, he recommended that, so I bought a bunch. It was just sitting on my desk. But you could use really any. You could use Mod Podge. You could use glue stick. Once the paper is dry, you're not really gluing onto a wet surface, so you could use any kind of, even Elmer's glue if you wanted to. So I'm just drying the rest of that watercolor down at the bottom, and I'm going to reconstruct my house now. And that's the brush pen. I just wanted to see what that looked like there. And I let it dry too long, so then I couldn't move it around the ink. But if you color it and then blend it with your finger right away, it moves around nicely. So now I'm gluing on the house, and I'm going to do my roof. And I think right as I go to do the door, I'm just unsure about the door. I'm like, oh, maybe I should use a different color. And then when I flipped that over, that green, I really liked it. So then I started to get a little wishy-washy. Should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? Just do it. And I ended up really liking the way that looked with the heart on it. Perfect. And then I'm just going to trim down that little piece of white just so I have a little square there to do whatever. So I've got all my elements glued down, and I used some gelatos, I used a watercolor pencil, and now I can't really remember what's my next step. So I think stamps. I think I'm going to go for stamps now. Let's see if that's what I pull out. Oh, and I know I'm going to put a title on here, Home Sweet Home. So once again, I'm going to pull out my Jilly Bean letters and just pull out the letter Sweet. So at least this time, I am actually going to use them. But how many more times in a video can I dump these out and go through them? I really do like them though. So there's the word sweet, and I actually use them, so it was not time wasted. But yes, so my next step is I want to add some dimension and texture to my background. So I'm going to go look for some stamps. And these stamps right here are from Adorn It. They are, I don't even know how old, 7 years maybe? And when I went in my art journaling stuff to find the green big brush pen, I came across these and I liked that little curliness, so I thought that would look nice on the eaves of my roof. I'm just stamping that over, and I'm using black StazOn because it's permanent. And if I go over my page again with more wet glue, or if I wanted to do more watercolor on top of it, it wouldn't smear because it's a permanent ink. And I like this one little stamp that I have. It's like bubble wrap kind of, from Prima. I love that one. I end up using that. And I just pulled a few others that I thought I might use. So what I'm looking for is something to stamp on my background that will add a little dimension and texture. And I remembered I had this Cocoa Daisy stamp with the clouds. I don't end up using that one though. So the first one I picked is from Tim Holtz, I believe. It's like a Harlequin diamond kind of thing, and it's a brand new stamp, so it needed to be, it wasn't seasoned, so it didn't really give a very dark impression, which is good because I didn't really want that. I don't want it to be a focal point. I just want it to kind of blend into the background. And these Amy Tangerine stamps, I've gotten so much use out of them. They have some little stamps on it. It was little clouds, which I'm going to use right here, I think, yeah. So I'm just going to stamp them around my clouds just to add a little touch of whimsy around. And this is really the fun part of mixed media. You just stamp and make a mess. And here you see I'm using the brush pen again, and as soon as I color it, I'm using my finger to blend it, and see how nicely it blends once you do that. Those are really great, those big brush pens. So now I'm just another Amy Tangerine stamp. It's a little flower, and I'm going to do 3 on each side. And there are 2 more stamps I use. One's a little house. The exact same design as the one that runs across the bottom of my page, and then another stamp that said love. And so I'm just testing it out to see if I like it, and I'm just going to add it to my page in one little spot. And now my desk is extremely messy. It's stressing me out a little bit. And this Prima stamp is the one that I absolutely love. It's like a teeny tiny bubble wrap, and it just adds great texture and dimension to the background. So, and I think it was, I don't know, $2 maybe, $3. It's really an awesome stamp. Anytime I'm doing anything that mixed media and the background needs a little texture, that's the one I always reach for. And this Cocoa Daisy stamp is the one that came with the April kit. And I think it says some days you just have to make your own sunshine. And so I knew I wanted to use that sentiment on this page. And because it's a brand new stamp, it needs to be seasoned first. So StazOn is good for seasoning it. So I'm just going to stamp it a few times on a piece of scrap paper. And it worked out great that I had this piece of scrap paper from Amy Tangerine right there. And I'm going to stamp it on that green and yellow like watercolor blob. It was perfect. So I just had to stamp it twice. I didn't get a good impression in the middle there. And I'm just going to cut it. And now I just can't find the right spot to put it on my page. It just doesn't, I don't know. I don't want to cover up too much of the roof. I don't want to cover up the clouds. Maybe I should put it there. I couldn't decide. It doesn't really matter in the end. Just gonna put it somewhere. And I need a chimney, I realize, so I'm just using a scrap of whatever I had laying around. I think I end up using a little piece of white. Yep, that one. So I'm just gonna glue it down with the multi-medium. This little jar is great. Just use it up, stick the chimney in, done. And I think I'm pretty much done stamping. I just, you could really go on forever. But I did, I was taping this, so I did want to have an end eventually. And of course, you know, the camera battery is going to run out. So next in my process is going to be using rub-ons. There's some. Those are ancient Doodlebug ones. I don't end up using those, but those are perfect. Some American Craft mini marks, and I know I grabbed one more pack. I used to make a lot of mixed media canvases. I've gotten away from it. Oh, there's one from Kaiser. And I end up using that whole sheet from Kaiser Craft right there. Whatever was left, it's kind of a mess, but that's the whole point. They don't have to go on perfect. You just rub them any which place, and they just add a nice touch of, it looks like you doodled it, but it just goes right over the top, no problem. It doesn't have to be perfect. It looks better even if it's not perfect. And I use up some of my stash, which is great. So like I said, I used to do a lot of mixed media canvases. I took the sheet art class with Christy Tomlinson. It was awesome. It was my first real introduction to mixed media, even though for years my friend and I dabbled in it here and there with some stamping classes and teaching stamping. And so I'm just putting the rub-ons around. I'm showing you a close-up there of what I did. And I finished off that pack. So that was awesome. And now I'm just taking some of the mini marks out. I want to put some on the chimney. And just some on the house. I don't think I have enough around. Maybe on the roof somewhere. Just a few more bits and pieces. It's a great way to use up rub-ons. And you know what? I've had some of these rub-ons for years upon years, and if I take it out and it doesn't rub on, I just throw it out now because life is too short for that. So, but these go on really well. It doesn't really matter if they're not perfect. And that one got away from me there. And I probably could have straightened it out and used it on the page somewhere else, but just wasn't in the mood today to perform rub-on surgery. And so the next step in the process after the rub-ons is to outline. So I did have this pen that I got a while ago that works great on canvas, but it was not working today. So I just have a skinny Pitt pen. I outlined a bunch of stuff I'm showing you there. And then I added my title. I used some really old Pebble stickers. One said home, and then I had an alphabet, and I spelled at home, so I glued that on to my roof, home, sweet home. And now I'm just backing my little sentiment there with some black cardstock. And I want to add some dimension to it, so I went looking for my chipboard. I couldn't find it, and I remembered I had this really old Basil chipboard. I don't know if anybody remembers those. So I'm just going to add some to the back. But I couldn't decide if I wanted to do one layer or two. How much dimension did I want? Really silly decisions that really don't mean anything. So, okay, I settled on the one. So I'm just going to glue that onto the cardstock and then the chipboard onto the page. Just with my ATG. Make it quick. And my camera battery is just about to die, so I'm going to glue that on finally, and then I'm going to pick it off real quick because I wanted to add the glitter, and I didn't want to have all the glitter get stuck behind the sentiment as I was taking it off my page. So I'm going to use the multi-matte medium, and I'm going to put a little glue on one of the clouds and on the flowers, and I'm going to pour the glitter on. And then I went off to make dinner. So I let the glitter sit on top of the multi-medium, and then it made like a big blob on that yellow cloud. See how I'm putting it on there? And that's exactly how it stayed because I let it really sit and dry. So there was really no getting it off my page. Like even when I tapped off the excess, there really wasn't a lot of excess off. So what I ended up doing on my final thing is I just cut another yellow cloud and layered it over it because it was really bothering me how much glitter was on there. And so to finish off the page, I just put a little bit of glue around the page, put a little glitter on it, and tapped it off. And that's really all I did besides a little just pen work around the edges. And thank you so much for watching today. I hope you are inspired to go check out Coco Daisy's challenges, because they're really so much fun. So there's a close-up. You can see some of the glitter scattered around, and there's my finished page. There it is. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.